Touching Tornadoes. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? How are buddy? Uh, right now, I am driving southbound on I-135 in the middle of the heartland. So if you're on the highways and byways, say hello and you see me. Uh, so I got my brain scan back, and I can't say that there was anything that was, revelatory that I had going on with my brain scan. Just to recap what they did is, I think it's like an EEG is what it was similar to, but they connected a bunch of electrodes to my head with the gel, with the goo. And after they got done squirting the goo in all the little holes in the hat that they put inside my head, or on top of my head, uh, I had to do a series of tests. And they were just like not written test, but like reading a bunch of questions, and then I had to stare at a screen that was blank for 4 minutes and keep my eyes open. Then I had to stare at the screen with my eyes closed, kind of hard to do. And then I had to pick a circle out of, there's like a bunch of images that were going by, and I had to pick a circle. And then there was an audio one. And I got the results back, and basically I got a little bit of ADD going on, a little bit of ADHD. I don't know, ADD. I can't focus on one thing, and that's why over the years doing comedy podcasts with a group of guys who all have a different angle is actually perfect for me. It is like an ADD show. You know what I mean? Where come in with a list of topics that you want to talk about, and two sentences in, we're totally down a different trail. So I don't know. I think that whatever I am, I guess, is the point of it. But I've never been diagnosed as ADD, and I don't know how much of, now it seems to me that the majority of the findings that we had from my brain mapping were like the ADD and the cognitive decline were the most informative things that I got out of it. And those can kind of directly be either like symptoms that are the exact same as a bipolar person, or it can be like bipolar triggered in me the fact that I also had ADD. I don't know. The psychiatrist was certain, though, after reading it, that I definitely have some problems with attention and focus, and cognitively I'm got some issues going on with my audio and like my memory. And so what we got going on, like, to fix it is they just have little tricks that they can do. Like, we didn't talk about adjusting my medication right now. That might be something we talk about in the future, but we're still what they call on the loading phase of the medication. So it's still too soon, even though right now the biggest side effect I have from my medication is I'm freaking exhausted. I mean, and things, it's a combination of the medication has a side effect that makes you be exhausted, and then also when I come down from a mania, I crash, dog. I mean, I have a manic crash. And what's up uh, to Fars? Nah, I don't know your last name, brother. But thank you guys for watching. This is Touching Tornadoes. I am bipolar type 1 uh, with manic episodes, and I just came out of a manic episode, or am kind of get into a mixed episode. I don't know. It's really hard. If you don't know much about bipolar disorder, um, there's a lot of books out there, and all I'm trying to do is just describe to you what my experience is as I try to manage it, because it's a daily problem that I have to. It's a daily. Let's not call it a problem. It's a daily issue that I gotta mess with. So I try to come on here and just tell you what I've been going through, and what do I care? So I didn't I didn't get any information that was that revelatory from my brain scanning though. I kind of had already felt since since my first manic episode that cognitively I wasn't the same. You know what I mean? Like they call it your executive function, but I noticed it more, and I was I've always had a tendency to have to like really focus on something to basically, like, if I want to read, I got to be complete silence around me. And so I had to focus, and if anything distracts me, it just get me all stressed out. Well, that got worse and worse. So, that's, I'm sorry about the shaky camera. That got worse and worse as the years went by, but I knew that a few years ago. So the brain mapping scan that they did on me, it didn't necessarily show me any information that I hadn't already heard from even the same doctor. And but the only other thing they gave me was I need to get what they call gene testing done. And what gene testing is it will tell me what medications won't work for me, is what they explained to me as. And so that's something that I haven't done before, and I'm going to get done, knowing that I presumably will have a lifelong battle with medication. I'm kind of like right here on the, it's like when you first get diagnosed, you want to think that you can fight it without medication. You want to think that just being aware of it is enough, and then just being aware of it and being proactive is enough. And you know what I mean? So doing like your inner work and going to therapy and doing meditation and taking vitamins and stuff like that. And maybe for some people that is enough. But for me, it's clear that I don't know when I'm in a manic episode, I don't know that I'm in it. And that's how bad it can get. And I get delusional. And so that's what I'm dealing with right now. What happens is, I overspend and I get delusional. And those two are very dangerous. And so in the moment, I feel like I can afford anything because of course I can, Why couldn't I? I'm I'm Conrad. I have the ability to do anything. And look at all this money that is owed to me. Look at this. This is owed to me and this is owed to me. And you can make all these connections to where you're a millionaire, dude. And I was a millionaire, so at least in my delusion. And so I bought 3 trucks on my last past manic episode within like a week. And the first one, it's like that was kind of what triggered the whole episode was me making a purchase of a vehicle, popped me into a manic episode, and I bought 2 more vehicles while manic and one while clearly delusional. And so what happens when they call it delusions of grandeur, but I have actual, I also have delusions of grandeur, but I also have actual delusions. So I'll be living in a world where I can operate amongst everyone else, but I think that I'm here for a chosen purpose. You know what I mean? And I'm a character, or I was previously a character to a movie, but now I'm playing a character that I'm actually born to play. And it's like that kind of delusion that I was walking around with in my mania. And then I'll have audio delusions where I'll hear people talking that aren't talking. And so, like, they might actually be saying something, but what I hear is different than what they said. So that's a couple things that happened to me. It happened to me this last episode. So when I come down from something like that, there's this period of confusion, this period of just I'm crashing, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And then you get the guilt. Oh, the guilt. The guilt of what you did. Oh, man. And you had no control, but for some reason, because you were able to do it, you do have control. You know what I mean? And so you think that you did. You think that you had control, and you have to deal with that. So my thing is, because of my delusions of grandeur, and because of my delusions, and because I thought I was playing a character within somebody else's life when I was really just manic and talking crazy, the people that I hurt are usually the closest ones to me. So like my dad, my it was my dad and my great aunt, my wife, of course, and my children. Only they get kind of left out of it. But I try to leave and distance myself. I've noticed that when I go manic, every time I went manic 3 times now, 3 separate episodes that are full blown mania. I tend to distance myself from my children and my wife, but I make it my wife's fault. She's part of the secret, delusional enemy life. She was the past time. And then I also distance myself from my dad and my mom and my brother, and I made all of them like evil people in my mind. That was what my delusion made them, was my dad, my mom, my brother, my wife. They were all evil, and I was sent here for a purpose, and I was sent here by God. That's what tries to make you believe. So, and not that the hard part is, if you're a Christian like I am and you're a devout one, the messaging of the church and the messaging of the voices in your head get very similar, and it can actually mess you up kind of, and screw you up. And so during my last episode, I definitely felt like God had chosen me to be here on a special purpose, and that my family was trying to stop it. And I felt that this purpose that God sent me here for was, to save the world or be part of saving the world. And that's how grand my delusion had become. And so I had the guilt of how I treated people, when I was like that, that I'm now dealing with after I come down from that episode. And I have the guilt of buying all this stuff that we didn't have the money to buy, and that's one of the symptoms. And you got to deal with that. And I'm probably going to go bankrupt to deal with that. So, and it's really hard for them why to forgive you, and they don't have to, depending on who they are and what you did, and it doesn't matter. And I got a friend that I pushed away or put involved in my delusion, and he still hasn't forgiven me for what happened. So I don't know. All I know is it's been about 15 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna pop off here. I gotta check in and get some fuel, but thank you guys for. I just like to get on. It's kind of a version. It's a different version of therapy for me, just to kind of tell everybody what's been going on, and even if nobody's watching, that's okay. But anyways, all right. Thank you. Don't let your meatloaf. I'm going to be doing an in-studio show very soon. So, not that that matters to anyone, except for it'll be a longer show. And I'll probably do some more jacking around in like my normal show stuff. So, with that being said, have an okay day. Don't let your meatloaf.